Daniel is sitting in his car outside a bank in Leeds. He's 56. He fits windows for a living. He has just been told, politely, by a woman half his age, that the £41,000 he transferred over 4 months is almost certainly gone. And here's the part I want you to hold on to. Daniel doesn't believe her. He hasn't accepted he's been scammed. Because in his pocket, right now, is a phone with a trading platform on it that says his account is worth £68,400. He can log in, he can see the number, he can see the green lines. 3 months ago, that same app let him withdraw £900 to his actual bank account. Real money. It arrived. He bought his daughter a laptop with it. So as far as Daniel is concerned, the bank is being difficult and he just needs to pay one more fee. He will send another £4,000 before he stops. I'm going to skip the part where I walk you through red flags. You know the red flags. Everybody knows the red flags. Daniel knew them too. He'd watched a video like this one about 8 months before any of it happened. Knowing them didn't save him, and it won't save you. So instead, I'm going to do something else. For the next 15 minutes, I'm going to run the scam on you. Step by step, in order, in the actual language they use. I'll show you what they say, why they say it in that order, and what they're measuring at every stage. Because you can't defend against a thing you only recognize from the outside. First thing to throw out, the idea that scammers hunt gullible people. They don't. Gullible people have no money. What they hunt is a situation, specifically one of these 5. Somebody who has recently come into a lump sum, redundancy, inheritance, house sale, a pension pot they've just been given access to, somebody who has recently lost a partner, somebody who has just retired and is suddenly, for the first time in 40 years, responsible for making their money grow. Somebody self-employed with irregular income and a lot of anxiety about the future. Somebody who's already been scammed once. That's the most valuable name on the list, and I'll come back to why. Daniel was number 1. His mother died in the January and left him just under £60,000. That was the first time in his life he'd had more than 4 figures in a savings account, and he had absolutely no idea what to do with it. Now, how did they know? This is where people expect me to say something dramatic about the dark web. Sometimes yes, but usually it's dumber than that. Daniel searched things. Best return on savings UK. Is my money safe in the bank? How to invest £50,000. He clicked 2 comparison sites and filled in a form on number 1 of them to get a quote. That form had a box, already ticked, about sharing his details with selected partners. He was then, in the most boring and legal way possible, sold. His name, his age, his postcode, his phone number, and the fact that he had recently searched about investing a 5-figure sum, sold on as a lead, resold and resold again, until it landed on a desk in a building where nobody is regulated by anyone. So when the call came 3 weeks later, it did not feel random. It felt like a coincidence. It was not a coincidence, and I want you to remember that feeling because it's the first thing they build on. The sense that this arrived at exactly the right time. That feeling is the product. You generated it yourself, and they bought it for about 40 pence. Here's the part that genuinely surprises people. On the first call, they usually don't try to get your money. If a stranger rings you and asks for £10,000, you say no and you hang up, and that lead is burned. So they don't. The first call has one job, and it isn't sales, it's disqualification. They're finding out whether you're worth the next 6 weeks of their time. Listen to the shape of it. This is close to verbatim. Mr. Whitfield, I'm not going to try and sell you anything today, And honestly, this may not even be right for you. Can I ask, before I waste your time, is this something you'd be looking at with savings or with money you actually need day to day? Read that again. I'm not going to sell you anything. Removes your defense because your defense is against being sold to. This may not even be right for you. Now you're auditioning. You want to be told you qualify. Money you actually need day to day. He just asked how much you've got, and it sounded like responsible caution. Nothing in that call is a lie you can catch. There's no guaranteed return. There's no pressure. There's no urgency. Every warning sign your video-watching brain is scanning for, none of them fire because they've been deliberately removed from the first contact. He said he'd email over some reading and call back in a week if Daniel wanted. Then he did the single most disarming thing available to him. He hung up first. That week of silence isn't politeness, it's the product. It's proof he isn't desperate. And in that week, Daniel did what almost everyone does. He Googled the company, found a clean website, a company's house entry, a London address, and a couple of positive reviews, all of which cost about 200 quid to assemble. Daniel started with £2,000. Not because he was reckless, because he was careful. £2,000 was the amount he decided he could afford to lose to find out if this was real. He was, in his own mind, running a test. That's precisely what they need you to do. Every part of the operation is built for the careful person, because the careful person is the one with savings. He logged in. The dashboard was good. Live charts, a portfolio breakdown, a little green upward arrow. 2,000 became £2,180, then £2,340. None of it existed. There was no trade, no asset, no market position. It's a web page with a number on it, and somebody in the office types in the number. 3 weeks in, Daniel asked to withdraw £900. They paid it. 2 working days, straight into his Halifax account, reference and everything. And I need you to understand what just happened, because this is the mechanism that turns a doubtful person into a certain one, and almost nobody explains it properly. That £900 was not a mistake. It was not a slip. It was not them being cocky. It was an advertising spend. They paid £900. Over the next 4 months, Daniel sent £41,000. That's a return of about 45 to 1 on the single most persuasive marketing asset they will ever have. Cash in your account that came from them. Nothing you can be told will ever outweigh money you have physically received. Not a bank warning, not a news article, not your daughter, not this video. Once that £900 landed, Daniel stopped evaluating the investment and started defending it. And here's the line I want you to actually take away from this whole video. A successful withdrawal proves nothing except that they've decided you're worth paying for. It is not evidence. It's the opposite of evidence. Small withdrawals are so reliably part of this that if you get one early, unprompted, easily, you should be more worried, not less. That's the inversion nobody expects. And it's the reason this scam beats intelligent, skeptical, careful people at a rate that would astonish you. UK finance figures published in June 2026, £221.5 million lost to investment scams in 2025, up 40% in a single year. The largest category of authorised push payment fraud by value. City of London Police put it at roughly £2.4 million a day, across nearly 35,000 reports. Those aren't reckless people. Reckless people don't have £14,000 average to lose. Once you've been paid, the tone changes. Not to pressure, to partnership. You're on the inside now. You're not a customer, you're a client. Maybe you get moved to a senior portfolio manager with a better accent and a calmer voice. And somewhere in the next fortnight, 3 sentences will appear. Nearly always these 3. They're the load-bearing walls of the entire structure. 1. Your bank may flag this. They're not being difficult, it's just that most high street banks aren't set up for this kind of allocation. If they ask, just say it's a transfer to your own account. That is the single most dangerous sentence in the English language when it's about money. Everything after it is fraud with your fingerprints on it, and it's designed to make you lie to the one organization that could still stop this. 2. Have a think about who you discuss this with. Not because it's secret, just that people who don't invest tend to have very strong opinions about investing. Read what that actually does. It doesn't forbid you from telling your family. It preloads their objection as ignorance. So when your son says, "Dad, this sounds off," you don't hear a warning. You hear exactly what you were told you'd hear. His concern becomes confirmation that the scammer understands the world better than your son does. 3. Honestly, if you'd rather stop here, that's completely fine. I'd just rather you were comfortable. The offer to walk away, given freely, more than once, always at the moment you're wavering. Because a person who has been genuinely offered an exit and chose to stay is a person who now believes the decision was theirs. That's the isolation complete. Not by force, not by pressure, by making your bank an obstacle, your family uninformed, and the whole thing your own idea. Daniel sent £8,000 in the May, £12,000 in the June, then £19,000 in 3 transfers in the July, the last £6,000 of which was money he did not have. It was a loan taken out to cover a liquidity window he'd been told about on a Tuesday afternoon. His account showed £68,400. Everything above is the setup. This is where every single one of these ends, without exception, and it always looks like an administrative problem rather than a crime. Daniel requested a full withdrawal in the August. First, there was a capital gains prepayment, 8%, refundable, required before release. Then the payment was held in compliance and needed a verification deposit. Then there was a cross-border transfer levy. Then his own £4,000 payment didn't clear the correspondent bank and had to be resent. Look at the shape. Every obstacle is solvable. Every one costs less than what's supposedly waiting. Every single one is engineered so that walking away means losing everything and paying means you're nearly there. This is the sunk cost trap, weaponized. The £68,400 on that screen was never money. It was a hostage, one he'd pay any ransom to release, and it never existed at all. Here's the rule, and it costs nothing to remember. Real investments never require an outbound payment to receive an inbound one. Never. Not for tax. Tax is settled after, with HMRC, not with your broker. Not for compliance, not for release. If money has to leave your account before money can arrive in it, the investment is finished, and everything you send from that point is gone the second it leaves. The correct move at that first fee request, however humiliating, however much it costs, is to send nothing and pick up the phone to your bank. Daniel sent £4,000 more. 11 weeks later, Daniel got an email. Letterhead, case reference, a firm specializing in APP fraud, asset recovery, and blockchain tracing. And in the body of that email were the exact amounts he'd sent, the exact dates, and the name of the platform. They knew everything, which is how he knew they were legitimate. It is, of course, how you know they are not. They knew everything because they were sold the same list, and this time the list was worth far more, because now it's a list of people with a proven willingness to transfer large sums and a desperate emotional reason to do it again. The fraud world has a word for it: reload. City of London police recorded a 29% surge in romance fraud reports last year alone. Recovery fraud rides the same rails. Victim data is a commodity and it appreciates. The tell is simple and it never changes. Anyone who contacts you first offering to recover money you've lost, is stealing from you. Genuine recovery goes through your bank, the financial ombudsman, action fraud, and it does not cold email you, and it does not want a fee up front. I've given you a lot of tactics. If you remember none of them, remember these 4 things, because they're the ones that would actually have stopped this. A withdrawal proves nothing. Getting money out early is a marketing cost, not evidence. Never pay to be paid. One outbound fee to release an inbound sum, and it's over. The moment you're advised how to phrase something to your bank, stop. That's not a tip. That's them recruiting you to defeat your last line of defense. And the one that matters most, say it out loud to somebody who has nothing to gain. Not a text, say it, in sentences, to a real person. Scams do not survive being described out loud. That's why the script works so hard to make sure you never do it. Daniel got about £6,000 back. His bank found part of it in a receiving account before it moved on. The rest is in a jurisdiction that isn't answering. He hasn't told his brother. He's told me, and he agreed to let me use this on the condition I made one point clearly. He isn't stupid. He was careful. He tested it with a small amount first, checked the company, and asked to withdraw money before he committed. Every single one of those was the right instinct, and the entire system was built by people who knew he'd have them. That's the thing nobody says in these videos. This scam doesn't target foolish people. It's specifically engineered to defeat careful ones. The caution is the attack surface. So if this ever arrives at your door at exactly the right moment, with exactly the right tone, from someone who is in no rush at all, that's not luck. That's the playbook. And now you've read it.